Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Russian President Vladimir Putin has ordered troops into 2 rebel-held regions in eastern Ukraine after recognizing them as independent states. Footage released overnight appeared to show Russian military vehicles heading towards the Ukraine border. Russia said the troops would act as peacekeeping forces in the breakaway regions, but the US described this as nonsense. Ukraine's president said his country was not afraid of anything or anyone. Speaking alongside his Estonian counterpart, Zelensky said he was weighing a request from his foreign ministry to break off all ties with Russia. Meanwhile, the German Chancellor has stopped the progression of the controversial Nord Stream 2 pipeline following Moscow's actions in eastern Ukraine.
Ich habe das Bundeswirtschaftsministerium heute gebeten.
Olaf Scholz announced a halt to the certification of the pipeline from Russia while speaking alongside Irish Prime Minister Michael Martin in Berlin. The pipeline, which would have increased European reliance on energy from Russia, has been a source of contention in Europe and the United States for years.
Putin is establishing the pretext for a full-scale offensive.
The UK Prime Minister announced sanctions against 5 banks and 3 individuals, calling the move just the first step in action that would be expanded if Russia continues its push into Ukraine.
This is the first tranche, the first barrage of what we are prepared to do, and we hold further sanctions at readiness to be deployed alongside the United States and the European Union if the situation escalates still further.
Meanwhile, the US ambassador to the United Nations said America would also be imposing tough sanctions on Russia.
We can, will, and must stand united in our calls for Russia to withdraw its forces, return to the diplomatic table, and work toward peace.
Local officials say about 60 people have died after an explosion at a makeshift gold mine in a village in southwest Burkina Faso. The blast happened in a market at the gold mining site when dynamite stored there caught fire. Pony's High Commissioner told state television that the cause of the explosion was not yet known. Dozens of injured people have been evacuated to the nearest hospital. An investigation has been opened while one person has been arrested and is being held for questioning. The Zimbabwean government has welcomed the decision of the European Union to lift travel and financial sanctions imposed on its Vice President and former First Lady Grace Mugabe. The EU took the decision despite acknowledging that Zimbabwe's human rights record had not improved and could worsen. The sanctions were first imposed on 4 people 20 years ago, but were suspended 2 years ago. They have now been completely removed. Sanctions against Zimbabwe's defence industry remain in place. Queen Elizabeth will miss a planned virtual engagement today because she is still experiencing symptoms after testing positive for COVID-19.
I'm here.
The palace announced that the Queen had tested positive on Sunday, but was expected to carry on with light engagements, an indication that the world's current oldest and longest reigning monarch was not seriously unwell. She will now decide nearer to the time whether to press ahead with further engagements this week. News of the positive test has sharpened concerns about the health of the monarch 2 weeks after she marked 70 years on the British throne. The Italian Coast Guard has rescued 573 migrants at sea who are trying to reach Europe aboard 2 fishing boats in distress in bad weather. The rescue operation took place off the southern Italian coast. 3 Coast Guard units transferred the migrants to another vessel, which will bring them ashore at the port of Augusta in Sicily. 1 body was found on board. Migrants told the Coast Guard the body found was that of a migrant who had died several days earlier. The group of rescued migrants included 59 minors, many of them unaccompanied. And finally, the world's largest Jurassic pterosaur, a 170-million-year-old winged reptile, has been found in Scotland. Its sharp-toothed jaw was spotted in a layer of ancient limestone on Skye's coast. That initial discovery in 2017 has now been followed up with detailed examination of the fossil skeleton, which shows the flying lizard had an 8-foot wingspan. It has now been given the Gaelic name Jark Scianch, which translates as winged reptile. The research shows that these remarkable flying reptiles got big tens of millions of years earlier than previously known. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.